Good afternoon, everyone. And we're going to start with some introductions of our guests. We have Chris Kelly with us, who is the Deputy First Selectman. Chris, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Jane. I'm here along with Maria Capriola, who is our town manager, and Melissa Appleby, who is our deputy town manager, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, to point out to you that, like a rock thrown into a lake that creates a lot of ripples that go from the point of contact, the work that you have done really over the last 50 years and the efforts that you do on behalf of this town create an impact that is immeasurable and touches the lives of people in so many ways that you can't even begin to understand it. I'll share my own example from 1987. I met a beautiful young lass named Sharon Fitzsimmons, who I decided I was quite smitten with, and I realized I've got to bring her to meet my parents. And I thought about, how am I going to do that effectively, because that's a really important event. And what I did in 1987 is I arranged to bring Sharon to the Arts and Crafts Festival. Because my wife loves arts and crafts and had never had a chance to go. My parents went every year, and I went every year. It was a beautiful, sunny day, as perfect a day as could be. And my mother bought for my wife, my future wife, a necklace that she had noticed that Sharon was appreciating at a table, but didn't purchase. So I'm sharing that with you because people in Simsbury love the Arts and Crafts Festival. You can't even begin to imagine the stories that so many people have relative to the meaning of that event for them. In 2015, Simsbury was named as one of the ninth best town in the United States to live in. If you read the description, there's only about 3 paragraphs, and 1 paragraph is really dedicated to the exposure to arts and culture that people experience in Simsbury. And I will guarantee you that if you ask people what events really signify the vibrancy of Simsbury, the Arts and Crafts Festival is going to be one of the first ones that they mention. So I don't think it's appropriate for us to point out to you the full impact of these contributions that you're making today, the scholarships that you do, without recognizing the impact of that event that this year will be your 49th time of running. And so this theme that you can't even begin to understand the impact of what you're doing was reflected in one of the contributions that you made last year, which was the 4 honeysuckle poppers to the Farmington Valley Rivershed Association. And Eileen Fielding, when she thanked you for that, said something that really speaks to this. She said, "Thank you, you have helped us start a new chapter." 4 honeysuckle trees is what you threw into the pond. Helping a group create a whole new chapter is what you can't even possibly begin to measure. Last year, you gave a bike and 50 helmets to the Simsbury Free Bicycle. What you gave to the community isn't the bike and the helmet. It's the experience of people who ride that bike, who wear those helmets, and by extension, the full experience of everyone who utilizes that organization and finds some immense pleasure from it. You made a donation of signs to the Youth Community Theater. I happen to know someone who has a daughter whose participation in that theater so inspired her that she is actually a professional actress. So your donation isn't just the sign, it's the experience and the way that that has touched people's lives. You made a donation to Simsbury Crew 2 years ago. My daughter, when she went off to the high school a number of years ago, went to the evening where you go around and look at different activities you can do, and she discovered Crew out of nowhere. And that experience for her changed her life. It became the foundation of her high school experience. She actually has a Crew scholarship at URI today. You donated to the Simsbury Police Department, and we particularly thank you that every year there's at least one donation to a town organization. You contributed to the Simsbury Police Department the ability for them to purchase one life-saving monitoring device. These are devices that families that have individuals that they worry may wander away, wear the device, and if they get lost, the police can easily find them. You can't even begin to understand the reduction in stress the families experience when a loved one has that. Simsbury Police in the past actually have used one of those devices to find someone. So your donation is way beyond what you threw into the pond. It's the extensive ripples that flow from that. You might not think that these scholarships, you might not think that these donations have that big an impact on the organizations because it's just one small part of what they do. But what you do to them is like rain, it's like fertilizer, it's like sunlight to a garden. It nourishes and it helps it prosper. You can't even begin in a legacy of 50 years of doing this. Hundreds of donations, dozens and dozens and dozens of lives impacted by scholarships. You can't even begin to understand the impact of that. So my job, Maria's job, Melissa's job is just to point this out to you and say thank you very, very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We thank you for those wonderful words of encouragement. Isn't that inspiring? Makes you want to do much more, doesn't it? Thank you. I now would like to introduce Maria Capriola, who is the Simsbury Town Manager, and she's going to say a few things too.
Good afternoon. I would like to recognize Melissa and thank her for joining us today. Hope you've all had an opportunity to meet with her. She's been terrific in helping me get acclimated to the organization. Well, again, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity today to offer welcoming remarks for your annual luncheon. My husband and I moved here with our 3-year-old daughter, Charlotte, in mid-January, and I have officially been on the job as your first town manager for a little over 2 months. I am amazed at how quickly Simsbury has become home to us. We have received the warmest of welcomes from members of the Board of Selectmen, staff, and the community. I've been consistently impressed by the sense of community that exists here, all the way back to my first trip in late July of last year when I was considering applying for the town manager position. We are very fortunate to have dedicated members of community organizations such as the Simsbury Women's Club that contribute countless hours and resources towards making our community a better place to live, work, and play. One of the challenges facing many community organizations is that we currently live in an era of declining volunteerism. At the local government level, we are also seeing a decline in young people choosing public service as a career path, particularly in the areas of finance, civil engineering, assessment, building officials, and town managers. Very few women are becoming town managers, and only about 13% of town managers nationwide are women, and I am currently one of only 3 women town managers in the entire state of Connecticut. I am proud and humbled to be your first town manager, and I'm honored to serve as a role model for young women considering town management as a career path. The Simsbury Women's Club also sets that example for promoting nonpartisan, engaged civic-mindedness in our community, and I hope that your example inspires more women to become involved in your organization and in our town. Organizations such as yours are a critical partner in strengthening our community and encouraging public service and volunteerism. I thank you for your work and your efforts, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, and welcome to Simsbury. It is interesting, speaking of volunteerism, and people sometimes forget that Simsbury Women's Club is part of the General Federation of Women Club, which is a national organization and has its roots way back when a woman reporter was excluded from a conference with Charles Dickens. Would you believe it? And she got so annoyed, as who wouldn't, that she started her own group of women who were working, and this kind of was the seed for the General Federation of Women's Club, and we're happy to be part of that heritage. Now I would like to introduce Ellie Hoffman, who is the chairman of our scholarship committee. Ellie?
Thank you. I'm chairman of the scholarship committee. We have a wonderful committee. We had a daunting task to go through some applications for our adult woman scholar, and we're delighted to find Alyssa Calder, who you will meet very shortly. Again, it's through the funding of the proceeds of the Arts and Crafts Festival that we were able to give out these monies. So I'm going to ask Alyssa to come up, and I'm also going to ask Barbara Schneider to come up. We have a two-part scholarship to give to Alyssa, $2,000 from the Women's Club and $500 from the Bird family, which is very generous on their part. We appreciate that. So I'll turn this over to Barbara. Do you want to say something?
Sure. I just wanted to give Alyssa a little introduction. I'm probably better yelling than this. Anyway, good afternoon. My name is Barbara Bird Schneider, and I'd like to welcome Alyssa Calder and her mom Diane today to the Simsbury Scholarship Awards Luncheon. Alyssa is the recipient of the Phipps Memorial Scholarship. I only wish all of you could get a chance to read Alyssa's application essay. She has completed her undergraduate work, earning a Bachelor of Science degree at Northwestern University. Northeastern.
It's okay.
I failed geography. Currently, she is enrolled at Drexel University College of Medicine in Philadelphia as a first-year medical student. Alyssa's career path is aimed at academic medicine, where she can interact and engage with specialists in medicine and research. What an amazing goal. Alyssa has spent literally hundreds of hours involved in numerous outreach programs. The common thread within the programs has been to serve community members in need. She's worked with homeless people seeking independence, health education programs to serve community members with clothing and food. There is no doubt that she has and will continue to have a very significant impact on people's lives. She has spent time overseas working in Tanzania at an all-girls orphanage, participating in a health project to educate girls as to how to be their own health advocates. Her hopes for the future include participating in global health relief organizations. On a personal note, a portion of the Phipps Memorial Scholarship is funded by the Nancy Bird Memorial Scholarship. Our mom, Nancy Bird, was an active member of the Women's Club of Simsbury, as well as serving for many years for the Women's Club of Ridgewood, New Jersey. In short, our mom was a feminist before anyone knew what a feminist was. Our father was also. They believed that every woman should have the chance to pursue her dreams in education. What strikes me as so special about Alyssa is that she is truly the embodiment of what it means to be a young woman driven to achieve a goal that ultimately brings education and improvement to people's lives. She wants to help people rise and flourish. I can tell you with full confidence that our mom would have been tremendously impressed and excited about the work Alyssa is pursuing. We wish you great success.
Thank you.
All right, as you've begun to hear, Alyssa has a wonderful, wonderful background. So I've asked her to take some time to bring you up to date on everything she's accomplished to date. You will be overwhelmed.
So thank you. Can everyone hear me? Yes? Okay. Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate everything that has been offered to me through this scholarship and through Mrs. Bird and her memory. I really, really appreciate it, and it's so impressive that you all have come here and you all continue to work together and add to Simsbury, as we've heard. And of course, your dedication is so impressive. And now I'm going to, of course, talk about myself. So it's like, oh, man. But again, I want to thank you. And I'm so honored to receive this award and be here today to talk a little bit about what I've been doing. So although I think it's funny that I pay like an arm and a leg essentially to go to medical school, you know, it's so expensive, I am so honored to be there, and it's such a privilege to learn and take the opportunity to experience, you know, everything there is to learn about the human body. And I think that's really important because a lot of people don't receive that opportunity. So I didn't always want to be a physician. I was very squeamish when it came to those things. I remember dissecting a squid at the aquarium and I almost passed out. So I never thought that would be something I was interested in. But in high school, so I went to Miss Porter's, again, another all-girls opportunity where I was able to excel. I loved my science classes. And I was always, you know, the science nerd. I was excelling and I loved chemistry, and, you know, that's typically not something you brag about, but I loved chemistry. And so when it came time to discovering what I wanted to do, it was really following the science path. And this is repetitive for some of you, but during high school, I was able to go to Tanzania, and we were going to build a schoolhouse at an all-girls orphanage. And I show up, you know, I'm in dusty covered clothes, and it's time to go help the girls with their math class. And I'm not expecting to provide any type of education. You know, I'm a high schooler. What do I know about a lot of the science? But I show up to their math class, and one of the girls asks me, you know, can you teach us about the reproductive system instead? And it's not something I'm normally used to hearing or used to being asked. And you think, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's just the human body. But really, these girls weren't going to have any formal education about biology, and they weren't going to learn about their own bodies and what was happening. And the girls ranged from probably 19 to 25, 30 years old. So really, it's a huge impact that they didn't have this health education or any type of science education that was formal and that they were going to expect. So I'm up there on the board, you know, drawing out some structures and trying to be as helpful as I can, but really I became the student because I was the one learning about how health disparities are such a big portion globally and locally, and I think that's really significant. And that's when it started to dawn on me that it's not only about me and it's not only about my love for science, but it's really growing and helping others understand the importance of health and education and really combining those two. So that's when I started to really take into consideration the opportunity that I could become a physician and work towards that goal. So, and then in college, so again, I went to Northeastern University, and I became involved in a sorority, Sigma Kappa, if any of you are aware of that sorority, the chemistry department. I was a chemistry major, and research. And so all of my extracurricular activities really helped me to develop into the person I am today, but none more so than the research that I participated in. And if any of you are familiar with the Northeastern University system, is what they do, a 6-month internship. And so how that works is instead of going to class, you get hired for a full-time job and you work 40 hours and you do an internship at a big company or a lab or wherever. You get hired, a financial company as well. And being in Boston, you have all the connections. So I did my second co-op at what's called the Laboratory for Drug Discovery and Neurodegeneration. It's a mouthful. And that is a Brigham and Women's Harvard Medical School laboratory. And so what I did there was I did research in spinal muscular atrophy, which is similar to ALS, but essentially what it is it's a neurodegenerative disorder where your muscles weaken and you can't have any movement, but you're born with it. So you, depending on the severity, your child can die within the first 2 years. So it's very severe. And at the time when I started, there were no drugs on the market. So obviously, families are going to want to really help their children and find a cure. So let's see, where am I? So my boss really pushed me during my co-op and during my 6-month internship. And I was very successful at what I did. And we ended up getting a grant from the government. And so I was hired full-time for that experience, which was excellent because then I spent the next 2 years trying to really put together this project and push the limits and see what we could get accomplished. And so in that time, my boss gave me a lot of work to do. He recognized that I was really driven. And so I was training all of the students who were coming in. And he would always joke, he's like, oh, you do the work of a PhD student. And so that was lovely for me because I was really pushing to publish papers. And so I was able to join in a patent, which is really exciting. That was bought by a company. I published a book chapter in a textbook for spinal muscular atrophy. That's the first of its kind under Harvard Medical School, which is so impressive, I think. The best medical school in the country. And, published scientific papers that people would recognize as excellent work and moving forward and really trying to push the limits and get some molecules and drugs out there on the market. But besides that, it wasn't so much about the accomplishment of the published papers, but really the bedside bench manner that I was able to experience with the patients, because that's in the end who you really want to reach out to. And so in that regard, I was able to attend a few conferences for spinal muscular atrophy and present a family poster. And so essentially I had a research poster for all the scientists and they would come around, but I also had a family poster. And so the families would come up to us and, you had people who were there who had had previous children who had passed away from this disease, and you had families that were there with current children with the disease who were struggling. You had the children who had grown up with a less severe disease, but they were totally handicapped in wheelchairs. And so just having that interaction was so impressive because you realized how important the education was for these families to realize what you were doing. And you sit in a lab all day and you don't have any interaction, but it's so important to reach out and have that other aspect within the community that really hit home for me and made me realize I don't want to be in a lab. I don't want to be by myself. I want to be interacting with people and really helping them to cope with these different issues. So again, that was just a further identification of that. I really wanted to be a physician. So after that, I luckily got into medical school and I am now at Drexel University College of Medicine, as mentioned previously. And so I've really just enjoyed my first year. It's almost done, and I feel like I've just sat and studied and watched the sun and then the snow and now more snow. But it's almost to an end in May, and I'm just so grateful for having that opportunity and meeting the people who I have and really learning so much, more than I could probably fit in my brain. But it's just so impressive how much I feel that I've learned from this opportunity in just 1 year. And so I'm going to continue doing some type of neurology research. I was actually just granted a fellowship, so I'm going to be doing neuropathology research and focusing instead on Alzheimer's research. And so it's a specific pathway that I'm going to be looking at that has been identified to maybe have some effect in Alzheimer's patients. And so that's what I'm going to be doing over the summer as well. That's one of my interests in pursuing maybe neurology, but I'm also interested in ear, nose, and throat physician or otolaryngology. And so I'm also going to be starting research long-term with the chair of that department. And so I think that's really exciting to kind of pursue and see where I'd like to end up as career-wise. But overall, again, it will probably be in academia because you have the research aspect and you have all of the interactions that you can have with different physicians like pediatric physicians, family medicine, OBGYN, just a huge range. And you really then get a huge exposure to patient populations, which I think is excellent. So I'm hoping to do that as well as continue mentoring students and residents who come through, because I think, again, educating the younger population is so important in the continuation of growth for the hospitals. And so that's pretty much my career path right now. And then again, hopefully doing some type of outreach later in life once I finish, you know, the 10 million years of education I have ahead of me, to do some type of going back to whether that be Africa or some other country and doing some more outreach where I actually have the medical skills to help and apply. So that's where I'm at. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
This one, perfect.
Thank you so much. What an amazing, brilliant, wonderful person. So glad that we could help a little bit. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Jean Sumner and Ellie Hoffman. Ellie has another hat that she's wearing. And they are chairman of the Arts and Crafts Festival, the proceeds of which fund our gifts and all of our scholarships.
As we said, we had our 48th year last year. Good, successful year. We're heading into our 50th year, our 49th year this year, and then in 2020 it will be 50 years. So a long history behind us. We're delighted to make two presentations today. The first one is to Lisa Gray from the Simsbury Chamber. We were able to give Lisa money to buy one of the statues that will be around town in the period from May to September. So I'll let her tell you all about that activity and some of the special events associated with it. Lisa?
Thank you very much, ladies, and thank you so much for this honor. I'm thrilled to be here today with you. I will make my comments very short. In case you haven't noticed, I've been the one over in the corner hacking away there. I'm on day 13 of some sort of demon virus that grabbed a hold of me and will not let go. And I was hoping that one of my colleagues would be here to help me out today, but he has not been able to make it, unfortunately. So in case you have not heard, hopefully you have, Simsbury is going to be installing a public art trail, and it's just a month away. It's coming May 15th, and it's going to be open until September 15th. It's going to be something that you can walk among the sculptures. They're all life-size bronze sculptures created by an artist by the name of Seward Johnson, who is from New Jersey. And they will be placed primarily throughout the downtown area of Simsbury, but also in some of the outlying areas. We've got Abigail's, who is hosting one, and we've got Tolmeadow Farm and Westminster School. So there are a total of 32 of them. So it's ended up turning into a much larger project than we initially anticipated. We had a goal of sponsoring 20 of them. So we are really thrilled to be able to do this for the town of Simsbury, and it's just going to be a great way for all of us to spend an afternoon enjoying beautiful art pieces, maybe grab some lunch at our favorite restaurant, do a little shopping, finish up with a cup of tea or coffee at your favorite cafe. So I thank you so much to all of you, the Women's Club, for seeing the value in this community project. And here's my friend Ferg. Ferg, you're about 1 minute too late. But come on up here, Ferg. This was all Ferg's idea. Ferg is a former president of the Simsbury Chamber of Commerce. And
how long it takes to switch a refrigerator?
poor Ferg got stuck to a refrigerator this
Over
afternoon.
2 hours if the door. I apologize.
So he came to me with the idea for bringing the sculptures to Simsbury way back in probably October 2014. I had just been weeks in my position as executive director of the Simsbury Chamber of Commerce. And I thought, this sounds like a great idea, but I don't have time for this right now. So, I kind of put it aside, and he just never let it go, though he and his wife Linda had seen these wonderful pieces in both Warsaw, Indiana, and I believe Key West, Florida, as they have been displayed all over the world. And He just kept talking to me about what a great opportunity this would be for the town of Simsbury, and finally sold me on it, and I decided there would never be a good time to do it. We just had to jump in and do it. So 2018 is the year. They will be here for a total of 4 months, as I said, from May 15th to September 15th. May 15th happens to be a Tuesday, so Friday we thought might be a good day to have an opening champagne breakfast that will be hosted at Anna's Kitchen, which is the former Peaberry's. And so Anna Oliveira is going to be hosting us there. There are tickets available for that. We're also going to have a garden party on June 22nd, which will be held at the Simsbury Historical Society, who will be hosting a total of 5 of the sculptures on their grounds. And then in September, on September 15th, we hope to host a closing ceremony at the Performing Arts Center. And you all are, of course, invited to join us for any of these events. And please, if you have family or friends who live out of the area, maybe haven't paid you a visit in a while, invite them to come out this spring and summer and take them on the art trail and enjoy these exquisite pieces of work. I do have, I brought a couple of posters with me today that you will see up around town that have photos of most of the pieces that will be around town. Also, on your tables, I put some information about sponsorship. This is a completely self-supporting project. None of the money is coming from our chamber members' dollars, so it is completely being done by contributions. We are very, very close to our goal. We are about $15,000 short of our goal of being able to just present the whole project with the surrounding events and so forth. So any additional contributions are very, very welcome and appreciated. Ferg, would you like to come up and say anything?
I just want to thank you for doing a sculpture, and just say that I don't know if you should have been home in bed an hour ago, and I apologize again. I just think bad things happen. But I don't know if Lisa told you that when my wife and I flew out to Santa Monica to meet with the curator of the Seward Johnson Foundation, we got talking all this stuff, and we're from Simsbury. Anyway, long story short, she graduated from Simsbury High School. Her name is Paula Stokey. Her father was one of the founders of Hot Meadow Country Club, and it's just a weird coincidence. But the whole idea, as Lisa said, is to break even for the chamber and bring business to Simsbury. And we've had a great response from museums bringing busloads. We're contacting all the retirement communities to bring people to town, so I think it's a real luncheon. We'll be in the program for the Hartford Symphony. So it's a great, come do the statues, go to the symphony, and just to promote our great town. And the sponsorships, it's been all little guys, people $300, or you with yours $14,500, and some people are given $2,500, like Fitzgerald's and such. But if you know anybody, if you're close to Cigna or any of those guys, none of them have contributed, and of course the chairman of Cigna and other big companies live in Simsbury, so if you know anyone, we still need money to finish the graphics and the rest of the program. But it's the biggest selfie. I mean, if you're in Key West, people get off the boats, they can't move because they're all taking selfies. There's lines backed up, and I think you'll find it's going to be great for the town. And of course, we have Rosedale, Tull Meadow to bring people in. And every statue, I don't know if Lisa told you, will have the sponsor thanking whoever sponsored that statue and a brochure. It's all GPS. We're going to have every statue will have a GPS location, so you can go to them all. So again, thank you for contributing, and I know forgetting this, you do a lot of other things too, and we just much appreciate it. And again, on behalf of my refrigerator installation people, I apologize for missing. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Well, it certainly sounds like a wonderful activity to take part in, so we look forward to seeing all the statues go up very shortly. All right, next we have Simsbury Television, Karen Hanville behind the camera. We appreciate her help, as always. Thank you so much. Publicity you give us. And Chris Noble, want to come up?
Not really.
this.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big honor to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community TV. We do get some funds from Comcast and Frontier, but it wouldn't be enough to fully fund us. We would have been out of business years ago if we hadn't had local support. We count on Simsbury residents helping us. And the Simsbury Women's Club membership has helped make Simsbury the great place it is. Thank you for that. SETV is using your donation to enhance the studio. We have purchased picture posters so that future programs featuring Simsbury residents will benefit from this. Your programs that you'll be seeing will be more beautiful because of what your donation has accomplished. Presently, I am the secretary of Simsbury Community TV, but mostly I work at Town Hall recording programs such as the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Education, zoning, all those wonderful meetings I'm sure you watch religiously. I've been volunteering for Simsbury Community TV for 25 years, and you might think, why? Get a life. But I like the people I work with. It's rarely boring and sometimes challenging, and because at Town Hall I learn what's going on in town. I have a pretty good view of what's happening, and it's comforting to know of all the good volunteers and all the good people functioning in this town. If you'd like to join us as a volunteer, we'd love to have you. We train. There are many opportunities for volunteers at Simsbury Community TV. And in fact, we are having an open house at the SETV studio at Eno in the basement on May 1st at 7 p.m. So if you know somebody who's new in town who'd like to get to know something about town, this is an ideal way to do it. We have 3 channels, and at present we record the Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen, Board of Education, zoning, and conservation meetings. On our public channel, we also have fitness programs. I know some of you watch the yoga or the cooking programs and shows entitled Democracy Now! And the schedule, and the Simsbury Women. Our schedule is on the website. And also you can watch us on the website anytime you want. Any show you want is right there on the website. I passed out a business card that lets you know how to reach us, so I hope you keep this religiously by your television or computer. Upcoming events that you'll find on SCTV coming up will be how much your tax rate will be, how to pass the town budget, and what will happen with the proposed solar installation that's coming. And eventually, we're going to have an election this fall. You'll hear about the candidates that are running. Again, thank you so much for supporting us. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have the support from community situations like you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. Well, that concludes that part of the show. We are delighted that we've been able to raise this money and to give it back to so many deserving organizations and people. We look forward to hearing about Alyssa in the future. I think probably her name's going to pop up somewhere that we will recognize. So good luck to you. And good luck with the art show, and good luck with the TV station. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming. And now for a brief commercial announcement. The Arts and Crafts Festival this year is Saturday, September 15. That's the last day that the statues are up. Is that correct? And it's also on Sunday. It's 10 to 5, free parking, free admission, and you can do all your Christmas shopping. So thank you, and have a lovely rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.